Most truck buyers think the midsize segment's already decided. Toyota, Ford, and Chevy have owned that ground for 15 years. No real challenger in sight. That kind of certainty is usually right before it gets blown up. Earlier this year in February, behind closed doors in Las Vegas, Stellantis showed select dealers a clay model of the 2028 Ram Dakota. No press, no announcement, and what Ram's telling the public isn't what's happening inside their factories. Here's everything they're not telling you. Starting with this, the Dakota you've seen online, already selling in Mexico, it has nothing to do with the truck coming to your driveway. The global illusion Ram is counting on you to miss. If you've been following this story online, you've probably seen pictures of a Ram Dakota already on the road. It looks decent. It's got the Ram badge, and a lot of people have assumed that's the truck headed to North America. It isn't, not even close. The Ram Dakota and Ram 1200 currently sold in South America and Mexico are built on a platform developed by a Chinese automaker called Chang'an Automobile. That architecture also underpins the Peugeot Landtrek and the Fiat Titano, sold in emerging markets overseas. These are badge-engineered trucks designed for export markets, not for the United States or Canada. Here's why that matters to you directly. Those trucks cannot pass federal motor vehicle safety standards. They can't meet EPA emissions regulations. And on top of all that, imported light trucks face a 25% tariff, the so-called chicken tax, that would make the pricing completely unworkable for the North American market. The domestic 2028 Ram Dakota is a completely separate clean sheet engineering project, built specifically for North American buyers, assembled right here in the United States. Ram has been quietly letting the confusion between these two vehicles exist in the marketplace, and most buyers have no idea they're looking at two entirely different trucks. And the reason Ram can afford to let that confusion sit there is because the real story, the one happening inside their factories and their boardrooms, is something they'd rather you not dig into. Because once you understand what it took to actually get this truck built, the picture looks a lot more complicated than any press release is going to tell you. Before we get to the factory story, if you want a more in-depth look into how your pickup truck can last 200,000, 300,000, or even 500,000 miles, this ebook reveals the exact maintenance secrets and brand-specific strategies that every smart pickup truck owner should know. If you want to check it out, the link is down in the description below. The factory fight nobody covered. That factory story starts in 2023, and it involves a labor standoff that nearly derailed this entire project before it ever got off the ground. If you want to understand why the Dakota is coming back right now, you have to understand what happened between Stellantis and the United Auto Workers Union, because this story never got the attention it deserved. Back in 2023, when Stellantis and the UAW signed their collective bargaining agreement, the idled Belvidere assembly plant in Illinois was contractually designated to receive a $1.5 billion investment. The plan was to retool that facility and resume production of a midsize truck by 2027. Then 2024 arrived. Stellantis corporate leadership started dragging their feet, citing a slowdown in the electric vehicle market and unfavorable economic conditions. UAW President Shawn Fain didn't take that sitting down. He filed multiple grievances and put a nationwide strike threat on the table. To avoid that strike, Stellantis restructured the entire manufacturing blueprint. The midsize truck allocation was shifted from Belvidere, Illinois, to the Toledo Assembly Complex in Ohio, with a $400 million investment committed to retool that facility. Belvidere was then allocated $600 million to be repurposed for the next generation Jeep Cherokee and Jeep Compass instead. Now here's the part that makes this move make complete sense from a business standpoint. Jeep Gladiator sales at Toledo had collapsed. The Gladiator peaked at nearly 90,000 units sold in 2021. By 2023, that number had dropped to 55,188 units. And through just the first 9 months of 2024, Gladiator sales had fallen further to just 32,670 units. That collapse forced Stellantis to cut Gladiator production from 2 shifts down to 1 shift, which threatened over 1,100 indefinite layoffs at the Toledo complex in early 2025 before Stellantis reversed course and delayed those job cuts. The Ram Dakota solves that problem directly by adding the Dakota to Toledo North, the facility that currently builds the Jeep Wrangler. Stellantis adds a 3rd production shift and creates more than 900 new manufacturing jobs. This wasn't just a truck decision, it was a factory rescue operation, and it only happened because a union forced Stellantis' hand. What that manufacturing shift also did was lock in a production location with decades of proven body-on-frame experience. And that matters enormously when you understand the platform decision Ram made for this truck, because it's the decision that separates the Dakota from every other midsize truck on the market today. The platform decision that changes everything. Now, a lot of automotive analysts assumed the Dakota would simply share its frame with the Jeep Gladiator. It made geographic sense on paper. Both trucks built in Toledo, both body-on-frame, both off-road capable. Why wouldn't Ram just use the same bones? The answer to that question is exactly what makes this truck worth paying attention to. Because the Gladiator's chassis would have been the wrong tool for the job. The Jeep Gladiator is engineered around heavy solid front and rear axles. That setup is purpose-built for low-speed, technical off-road articulation. What it introduces on the highway is a different story. Compromised high-speed stability, heavier steering, reduced aerodynamic efficiency, and a curb weight that would have made it nearly impossible for Ram to hit their target base price of $30,000 to $35,000. Instead, the 2028 Ram Dakota will use an independent front suspension paired with a solid live rear axle. That combination gives you a much smoother, more refined road presence. The kind of driving experience people associate with the Ram 1500, while still maintaining serious off-road capability. The frame itself is a bespoke, scalable version of the modular STLA-1 platform. That platform supports conventional gasoline engines, mild hybrids, plug-in hybrids, and future battery electric powertrains without requiring fundamental changes to the frame rails or body mounts. That's a long-term engineering advantage that Ford and Toyota simply don't have in their current midsize platforms. And while the Dakota will match the Toyota Tacoma and Ford Ranger in overall length, it will feature a noticeably wider track. That wider body translates directly into more shoulder room and rear leg room inside the cab, something midsize truck buyers have been complaining about for years. Ram heard that complaint, and they built the answer directly into the bones of this truck. That wider, more capable platform also needed a powertrain lineup worthy of it. And what Ram has put together under the hood of this truck is where the story gets genuinely interesting. Because they aren't just matching the competition, they're engineering something the midsize segment has never seen before: the powertrain lineup, and why it matters. This is where Ram is preparing to do something no midsize truck competitor is currently offering, and it starts with the base engine. The standard powertrain for the volume trims, Tradesman, Bighorn, and Laramie, will be the 2-liter Hurricane turbocharged inline-4. This is the same engine currently used in the Jeep Grand Cherokee. It produces 324 horsepower and 332 pound-feet of torque, paired with a ZF-sourced 8-speed automatic transmission. Ram is targeting a towing capacity of 7,700 pounds with this setup. To put that in perspective, the Toyota Tacoma's maximum towing capacity is 6,500 pounds. The base Dakota is being engineered to beat that right out of the gate. For the premium trims, Rebel and Limited, Ram is fitting the 3-liter Hurricane twin turbocharged inline-6. In its standard output configuration, that engine produces 420 horsepower and 469 pound-feet of torque. That's already more power than the Toyota Tacoma iForce Max at 326 horsepower. It's more than the Chevrolet Colorado's 2.7-liter turbo at 310 horsepower, and it's more than the Ford Ranger's base engine by a significant margin. But the engine that changes the entire conversation is the high-output version of that same Hurricane inline-six, reserved for the Dakota SRT performance variant, 540 horsepower, 521 pound-feet of torque. The Ford Ranger Raptor, currently the performance benchmark in the midsize segment, produces 405 horsepower. The Dakota SRT is being engineered to beat that by 135 horsepower. The Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro tops out at 326 horsepower. The Chevrolet Colorado ZR2 caps at 310 horsepower. A 540 horsepower Ram. Dakota SRT doesn't just lead the midsize segment, it laps it. The SRT variant will feature standard four-wheel drive, a reinforced chassis, active bypass off-road dampers, and an aggressive wide-body exterior. Ram has confirmed this truck is being developed as a direct competitor to the Ranger Raptor, and the power numbers suggest they intend to win that fight decisively. What makes this powertrain story even more significant is the range it covers. From an expected 324 horsepower daily driver, estimated at $35,000, all the way to a 540 horsepower performance truck, estimated at $65,000, Ram is building a ladder that gives every type of buyer a reason to walk into a dealership. And the truck they walk into is going to have an interior that matches every bit of that ambition. The interior and technology story. All that capability under the hood would mean a lot less if the inside of this truck felt like an afterthought. Ram knows that better than anyone. The interior of the Ram 1500 has been one of the most talked about advantages in the full-size segment for years, and they're bringing that same standard directly into the midsize class with the Dakota. The truck will run the Uconnect 5 infotainment system on an Android-based operating system. That means wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, dual-phone Bluetooth connectivity, 5 customizable driver profiles, and continuous over-the-air software updates. Lower trims will come standard with a horizontal touchscreen layout. Premium trims step up to a 14.5-inch vertical tablet-style touchscreen. There's also an optional 10.25-inch front passenger display that lets the co-pilot manage navigation, view exterior cameras, or stream media independently. Rebel and SRT trims will incorporate dedicated off-road pages directly into the instrument cluster and center screen, giving you real-time data on vehicle pitch and roll, wheel articulation, transfer case engagement, and steering angles. Industry estimates project the trim ladder to run from the work-focused tradesman at around $35,000, through the Bighorn at $38,000, the Laramie at $42,000, the off-road Rebel at $45,000, and the luxury-focused Limited at $48,000. The SRT performance variant is expected to top the range at approximately $65,000. Pilot production is scheduled to begin in March 2027, with the 2028 model year as the official launch target. What that pricing structure tells you is that Ram is serious about competing at every level of this market simultaneously. They're not just building one truck and hoping it covers enough ground. They're building 6 distinct versions of this truck, each one engineered for a specific buyer, and that kind of deliberate product planning doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's part of something much larger that Ram hasn't been particularly loud about, a full-scale brand rebuild that stretches well beyond the Dakota itself. The bigger picture, Ram isn't talking about. The Dakota is the centerpiece, but it's far from the whole story. What Stellantis has been quietly assembling is one of the most aggressive product offensives in the history of the Ram brand, and most of it hasn't made the mainstream news cycle yet. Below the Dakota, Ram is officially importing the compact Ram Rampage to the United States and Canada by 2030. Built on a unibody platform with a 2-liter Hurricane engine and standard all-wheel drive, it's designed to go directly after the Ford Maverick with a starting price under $40,000. To avoid import tariffs from its current Brazilian assembly plant, North American production will be localized to a regional facility, likely in Mexico. Above the Dakota, Ram is resurrecting the Ramcharger nameplate, not as a truck, but as a massive 3-row, body-on-frame, full-size SUV. Built at the Warren Truck Assembly Plant in Michigan, alongside the Jeep Wagoneer family, it's being positioned as a rugged alternative to the Chevrolet Tahoe and GMC Yukon. It will feature removable rear hardtop panels, Freedom panels borrowed from the Wrangler parts bin, and rotating second-row seats. It will be offered with both traditional gasoline engines and a range-extended electric powertrain, producing 647 horsepower. And then there's the Rumble Bee. Ram is launching a full street performance product push that includes the return of the legendary Rumble Bee lineup, 4 distinct sport-tuned street trucks, including a high-performance version powered by a supercharged Hellcat V8. What you're looking at is a complete product ecosystem. A compact truck under $40,000, a midsize truck from $35,000 to $65,000, a full-size half-ton, and now a full-size SUV, all under the Ram banner, all arriving within a few years of each other. That's not a company throwing things at the wall. That's a brand executing a deliberate long-range strategy to reclaim market share across every segment it abandoned during its years of corporate turmoil. And when you step back and look at all of it together, the labor fight, the platform engineering, the powertrain lineup, the interior investment, and the broader product plan, the Dakota stops being just a truck announcement. It becomes the clearest signal yet that Ram is done playing catch-up. What this all means for you: here's the straight truth. The 2028 Ram Dakota is not just a truck coming back from a 15-year absence. It is a calculated multi-billion-dollar industrial move built on a purpose-engineered platform, assembled at a facility with decades of proven off-road manufacturing experience, priced to compete directly with the segment leaders, and topped by a performance variant that is engineered to make every competitor in the midsize class look underpowered. The labor dispute that moved production from Illinois to Ohio, the deliberate confusion between the Chinese-sourced international trucks and the domestic model, the decision to walk away from the Gladiator's solid axle platform in favor of something better. Every one of those decisions was made with a specific purpose, and most of it never made the headlines. Toyota, Ford, and Chevrolet have had 15 years to own this segment without Ram at the table. That ends in 2027. And when the Dakota finally arrives, it won't be showing up to participate. It'll be showing up to take over. If you want to stay up to date on every new development as this truck gets closer to production, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single update. This story is just getting started, and we'll be right here covering every detail as it comes out.